Okay, before I start this video, I first like to state this for the record. I really don't dabble in gaming news or podcast announcement or just gaming podcasts in general. I used to on a previous channel I had, but I felt like this deserved discussion and talk about it. And it's been over a month. BG has made the announcement that Blackbond will no longer be on the Weapon Wheel podcast. And there's a lot of people that disagree with this decision BG has made. I disagree from the standpoint, and there's a large component of people that agree with what I'm about to say. I disagree on how BG handled it in the early goings of this announcement. But as far as the decision, BG has every right to make this decision because he's the employer and Blackbond is the employee. Okay, so I don't have a horse in this race. I don't like or dislike BG or Blackbond. I do disagree with a lot of things they have said over the years, but I disagree with a lot of people, what they say, of people that I watch. Skip Bayless. I disagree with a lot of things Skip Bayless say, but I continue to watch it. I disagree with a lot of things Stephen A. Smith have said, but I continue to watch it. So it's no different. Even Joe Budden. I don't agree with everything Joe Budden says. I don't disagree with everything Joe Budden says, but I still continue to watch them. Okay, so I don't utilize favorites. I don't invest emotion in these people that I watch. I just watch them. They have a take, and I either agree or disagree, and I go about my day. I don't put a lot of time or a lot of stock in social media, going on and on and on about a take that Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Joe Budden, BG, Blackbond, whoever, whatever they say. I don't go on and on and on, days, weeks, and hours continuing to talk about it. Okay, I just simply just have my take and I move on. I either agree or either disagree and move on. That's the first thing I want to mention. All right. The second thing is the reason why BG no longer wants Blackbond. He said, quote, the podcast will run better without him. It'd be less derailments. And he listed some other reasons. I don't consider those other reasons the main reason why he no longer wants Blackbond. A lot of people feel like, well, he disliked Blackbond. He never liked Blackbond. If you've been paying attention to the Weapon Wheel podcast since episode 1, this has been known from episode 1. I don't know why. Here we are, 400 episodes later. People think that his emotion, what he thinks about Blackbond is the main issue why he no longer wants Blackbond on the Weapon Wheel podcast. If that was the sole reason, Blackbond wouldn't even make it to 400 episodes. Okay, I think he has to me personally, if I don't like you, then I don't want to work with you. All right, because and if I know that if I have a team of employees that don't like you, then why would I include you in there? And then we're having issues. You're having issues with other employees. You're having issues with me. It, just makes the day even longer. We don't complete a lot of tasks. And yes, the word derailment comes up. All right. And that's how I do things. You may have a different way of how you do things, but to me, if the team has an issue with you, then I'm going to have an issue with you. It's just simple and plain. I feel like there are people that will tolerate you to an extent, but it still derail performance and derail getting things done at the end of the day. Could you overcome those things? Yeah. But to me, I wouldn't have you on day one. I wouldn't spend 400 plus days with you, like, still doing business with you. At some point, we're going to have to end this. Secondly, as the employer, employers appreciate an employee's attendance. They really do appreciate the attendance of someone. They really do appreciate, employers really do appreciate loyalty that you have with that employer or with that company. They really do appreciate that stuff. They really do appreciate how long you've been working for a company. They really do appreciate that. But if you guys think that should atop the performance, then you're sadly mistaken. If you're not performing on an all-time level, or if you come in, less is done when you come in, but when you're not there, more is being done. Or if they can find someone who does the same performance as you, but with less headaches, and they don't have to pay them as much, you're replaceable. It is just that simple, folks. When I feel like when people make when people say, when I hear people say the customer's always right, or they should leave it for the viewers to decide on who should stay and who should go, or there's a growing sentiment of people that didn't like this decision, and the employer or the company should change that decision because someone is likable, is the difference between good businesses and bad businesses. Okay, folks, let me tell you something. Amazon fires people every day. They fire people that's been there for 10 years or been there for 10 days. They have fired executives. I've seen executives come. I've seen executives go. Amazon fire likable people that you have grown a relationship with. They will fire them in a heartbeat. Okay? And Amazon still goes on. Walmart does the same thing. Walmart continues to go on. I remember with the Joe Budden podcast, when Joe Budden made the announcement of letting go of Roy and Mal. And I remember the growing sentiment of people saying, well, that was a bad decision, Joe Budden. We want Roy and Mal. We don't like Ice and Ish. And that went on for a year? And now the Joe Budden podcast is even better than when they had Roy and Mal. Not to discredit Roy and Mal. I think Roy and Mal, they're out on their own. They're doing their own podcast. But it's kind of funny how life imitates art. How people was mad at Joe Budden with making that decision of letting go of Roy and Mal. But when Roy and Mal have to let go of someone who's likable, the energy is not the same. It's like you're okay when Roy and Mal has to let go of Julian. But when Joe Budden let go of Roy and Mal, there's a huge, and this is social media. This is all fabricated in social media. I think a lot of people, I believe a lot of people just roll with the dislike party. I think and they don't have any clue of why they dislike this agreement. They just see, oh wait, there's 1,000 people that dislike that decision. I want to join those. I feel like social media, there's a bunch of sheep in social media. People just gravitate to the largest thing. if there's a bunch of people that dislike something, there's going to be more people that's going to dislike whatever it is. And they don't even have no clue of why they're disliking it. They just know that a bunch of other people dislike it. And it's no different than when people like something. All right? When a bunch of people like something, people will just like it because it's just the end thing to do. You know, Kendrick Lamar diss record to Drake, They're Not Like Us. People like that video. I like that video. All right? But there is subject matter in that video that accuses Drake of being the P word. You don't think that hurts Drake's image? You don't think that doesn't hurt Drake's longevity in music? Now, I think Drake will overcome all this. All he has to do is just drop an album and people will forget it. I don't think people would totally forget it, but people will forget it momentarily for you to shine. You know? But there was some accusations in They Not Like Us that somebody like me or you, it will be difficult for us to have longevity in the workplace or just our reputation. All right. So going back to this, BG is the employer. Blackbond is the employee. And it's just one of those situations. Now, I've heard around the grapevine, I don't know how true this is, and BG alluded to it on Weapon Wheel, and he did it on the After Dark. And I've heard other people say the same thing, that Blackbond is pursuing pursuing legal a way to somehow sue BG. I don't know how true is that. But to me, I'm not even going to discuss that, but I will say this. I feel like me and others, if we're not welcome somewhere, we're not going to waste a lot of time and energy. We're not going to invest a lot of time and energy on someone or someplace not welcoming us. We're just going to move on. Someone's trash today is someone's treasure tomorrow. That's what I believe. I believe in myself. I bet on myself. And 9 times out of 10, I prevail out of a lot of situations. I have been fired before, folks. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all being fired somewhere where you don't invest your time, where you feel like you matter here and you're building something here, and for someone to just take it from you and say, well, your services are no longer needed here and you've been replaced, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. And I can empathize with Blackbond from that perspective as a grown, mature adult. But I will tell Blackbond this. No matter how dark it gets, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. Where one door closes, multiple doors open. And, Blackbond always he always, uses sports topics. He uses sports stories to describe how things work or life or whatever in general, And I would say this to Blackbond. And I think he knows his story as well. And everyone knows the story of, before we knew Stephen A. Smith, everyone considered Stephen A. Smith a loudmouth. And Stephen A. Smith couldn't even find anyone to bet on him. Hell, Stephen A. Smith couldn't get anything pushing. And if it wasn't for Skip Bayless recommending Stephen A. Smith to ESPN, telling the head honchos over there, I think Stephen A. Smith will work great with Cold Pizza, and we can have a little segment where we debate topics. If Skip Bayless wasn't at the right time presenting the right opportunity to the right people, which was ESPN. And Skip Bayless tells this story how everyone in the office was, I don't think this is going to work. I'm not, and Skip Bayless refused to believe that and told them to give them a chance. And they gave Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith the chance. And that launched sports entertainment to where it is today. That small decision created huge ripples and waves to sports entertainment. Now, sports entertainment has changed after that, but sports entertainment was on the back pages. Sports entertainment was more about X's and O's. It wasn't about personality. And they created the first debate show, and it blew up like wildfire. Now everyone wants a sports debate show. Everyday Struggle was created because of First Take. If there was no First Take, there would be no Undisputed. There would be no Everyday Struggle. You wouldn't have these debate style shows if First Take, it was First and 10. If First and 10 didn't blow up to become First Take, we wouldn't have none of these debate shows. So, and we wouldn't have Stephen A. Smith. We wouldn't even know who Stephen A. Smith was. Skip Bayless wouldn't be where he is today if Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith didn't spark debate television. Okay, and I feel like personally, if Blackbond can do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to get some legal reputation, and if you want to make this a legal matter, he has the freedom and flexibility to do that. Okay, more power to you. To me, I'm not wasting any time and money on someone that don't believe in me. And I've said this on many of Blackbond's videos and his live streams. He should focus more on doing his own thing. I think BlackBond is more talented than Rory and Mal. I think I'd rather see paint dry than listen to an episode of Rory and Mal. Now, they have gotten better over the years, but in the beginning, I'm going like, what is this? But they had to figure out their identity. They had to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And I feel like BlackBond, if he really puts his mind to it, he can create his own podcast. I think he should create a podcast. I don't think he should do gaming. I think BlackBond can do multiple things. He can still do game. He can do whatever he wants to do. He's his own boss. He can do whatever he wants to do. But to me, I think BlackBond works better when even though the Bond tale stories, I don't believe in a lot of those Bond tale stories, but when I listen to BlackBond, particularly about relationships and women, it's more red pill, it's more fresh and fit, it's more Kevin Samuels. I feel like, even though I feel like the dating podcasts are dying, and I feel like the reason why the dating podcasts are dying, there's not that individual that holds the torch for those podcasts, like in other communities, like in the gaming community, the sports community, the political community. Ever since Kevin Samuels has passed away, dating podcasts are, dying. I'm not saying BlackBond is the next Kevin Samuels, but he can contribute to a lot of these podcasts. And I think there's an audience out there, there's an untapped audience out there that BlackBond does not, that has not tapped yet. I do think gaming podcast, and this is my opinion about gaming podcasts and gaming news, is limited. It's only so much there's not a lot of news in gaming that you can create a full-time channel with, if you don't include other things. I think the gaming community, I think if you're in the gaming community, gamers are gaming. I feel like the casual gamers, they don't spend a lot of time on gaming podcasts. They don't catch up on gaming news or gaming announcements. That's why a lot of stuff just comes out of the blue with a lot of casual gamers, like Marvel's Rivals. I knew about Marvel Rivals before it was released on PC. But there was a lot of casual gamers that didn't even know this game existed. Okay? And that's because a lot of casual gamers, they don't really follow gaming podcasts or gaming news or gaming announcements. I think the days, and then here's a ambulance coming down the street just in time, talking about Blackbond, but it's a fire truck. Oh, okay. So I think Blackbond should do his own thing. I think Blackbond will fit perfectly with dating and relationship advice. Now, I think a lot of things he says, he's so radical with a lot of things he says, people would simply subscribe to Blackbond and listen to Blackbond because they don't like Blackbond and they don't like his views on relationships and women. And he will have women subscribe to him, similar to what Kevin Samuels did. When Kevin Samuels would denounce a lot of things women do, guess the majority of his audience, they were women. And they will be in the comment section disagreeing with everything Kevin Samuels said, but they will still support, they will still subscribe, they will still watch. And I think Blackbond could have an impact like that. All right. He can still cover gaming, but to me, I think he fits perfectly in that genre. He could be a disruptor. He could be the person that women love to hate, but they can't stop watching him. I think he could be that type of guy, but that's up to Blackbond if he wants to do that. But yeah, but to recap, it is BG's podcast. He's the employer and Bond is the employee. I know a lot of people say, well, we're the viewers. Shouldn't we have a right to say who should stay and who should go? Yeah. But to a smaller level. And I'm pretty sure Amazon loves to hear their consumers' input, but they don't base their business on consumers' input. They look at the numbers, they look at the analytics, they know what sells, what doesn't sell, they know what's efficient, they know what's not efficient. So if none of us is unsubscribed to Amazon, we can, I have an Amazon account and I haven't bought anything in years. Okay. It's just the way it works. There's a lot of things that Walmart does that I disagree with. The DEI, okay? And being African American, the importance of that. But to me, it's important, but it's not going to stop me from shopping at Walmart. It's not going to stop me from doing business at Amazon, okay? Same thing with Target, okay? There's a lot of things Target does well, and there's a lot of things I disagree with Target, but I will continue to shop at Target. So the same logic and the same rules that I apply for any other business or any other podcast that I watch it and listen to is the same practice I'm going to use with this. Is it a bad decision? I don't think it's a bad decision. And this is the part where Blackbond probably going to disagree with me, but to me, I think over the years, Blackbond is not fond of gaming because of where gaming is ultimately heading. And it's with the pay to play, he calls them booty boxes, now live services. The direction gaming is heading And that's, and I can disagree. I can agree with him to a certain extent. I can agree with what BlackBond's saying to a certain extent. But BlackBond also has to realize that these companies, these studios, are making money heading this way. I think exclusives do not matter. Microsoft figured it out early. Now they got their games everywhere. And they're making money hand over foot. They're making money in bushes. Okay. PlayStation is going to follow suit. They have, some of their exclusive titles are making their way to PC. I don't think they're going to go all the way with it, because if they go all the way with it, that just shows the importance of buying a PlayStation is devalued. I think Microsoft was willing to do that because Microsoft as a corporation didn't see the Xbox future that way, as far as just making games exclusive and building consoles. They'll still build consoles, but they know they're going to make more money having their games played everywhere than just a couple of places. I think Sony would do it to a certain extent, but the day and date, where everything's day and date, I don't think Sony's going to go that far with it, because if they do, that devalues PlayStation. And I think Sony sells more. I think they make money selling PlayStations. Now, I'm sure people are going to disagree with what I said, but it is what it is. I think when Nintendo sees what Microsoft is doing, they have already seen what Microsoft is doing and how much money they're making, and they start to notice that PlayStation is making even more money. I think they'll make money, but would they make more money? That remains to be seen. You might see a possibility where you might see a few games from Nintendo that were once exclusives make their way to PlayStation, or make their way to Game Pass or Xbox consoles, or possibly make their way to PC. Okay? But that's neither here nor there. That don't have anything to do. But the point I'm making is, with Blackbond, he doesn't like the direction where gaming is going. There's a lot of people that don't like the way the direction gaming is going. I'm one of those, but to me, I don't base my content on gaming. And I feel like Blackbond has and I think it affects Blackbond how he looks at these new games. I have seen Blackbond disagree with games being introduced and saying this game is trash, this game is no good, and he hasn't even played the game. And he'll go and he'll use this excuse, why I have played a game similar like this like 5 or 6 years ago, or last gen or 2 gens ago, and that ideal didn't work then. I don't think that ideal is going to work now. Only for Blackbond to play that game that he disliked, only to play it 2 years later and go like, wow, this is, I kind of like the game. I disagree with some of the mechanics. I disagree with the characters, and things of that nature. I think it's very important, if you want to be a content creator in gaming, if you want to be known as that, you have to play these games. You just can't use a brush and say, you know what, I played this game a couple of gens ago. I played a game similar to like this a couple of gens ago. I didn't like that game then, so I don't think this game is going to work now. What didn't work 3 gens ago probably will work now. And it's the same way. Like exclusive games really mattered to Xbox and PlayStation 3 gens ago or 4 gens ago. Now, not so much. So just because it worked 3 gens ago doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work now. Okay, and people use the outlier of GTA. Like You should have big budget games. Those are the more successful games. I don't want to go off topic, but yeah. So I can see the point being made, and BG indicated this. Like, man, it's kind of hard to stay on topic when you're not even playing a lot of these games when they come out. Now, you will play them later on, but by that time, something else new comes out, okay? So being kind of late to the curve with some of these games, you don't really, you can't really engage into a lot of conversations with the game mechanics. You have to solely base your opinion on videos or what other content creators have said about said game. I think in particularly with, if you're a content creator in gaming, you have to play these games to because a lot of these casual gamers, they look at it as, okay, you haven't played the game, but you're critical of the game. That don't make no sense. And a lot of casual gamers don't even follow a lot. So a lot of these channels or a lot of these gaming podcasts, okay? I think exclusive games mattered gens ago, and that's enhanced the popularity of gaming podcasts. If you're solely if you did a podcast on Nintendo, you was getting your numbers. You was eating. If you was a podcast only for Xbox, you was eating. If you were doing a podcast on PlayStation, you was eating. Now you have to, in order to please your audience, you have to play so many different types of games. So your experience with that game does matter. And I'm not saying he does it all the time, but there was a lot of games, and I can go back to several weapon wheels where he'll say a game is trash. He never played it. So BG can use that as an example. Like, man, dude, you're not even playing these games. And, that's why you go in these other discussions. We could be talking about a game, and you're talking about something that has nothing to do with the game. Now, it may have something to do with the game for you to include yourself into the discussion, but you haven't played the game to really give if you like the game or not. Just saying a game is trash, you have to do more than that. If you're entertaining and you can make funny jokes around that, that's one thing. But I'm not saying he does it all the time, but I have heard it from his mouth, his own lips. Like, man, I'm not playing that game. I done played a game like that years ago. It didn't work then. It's not going to work now. It's trash. So, yeah. And to me, with gaming podcasts, you have to please so many audiences to keep your head above water. Because there's no such thing as an Xbox gamer listening to podcasts, or a PlayStation gamer listening to podcasts, or a PC gamer listening to podcasts, or Nintendo, whatever. Now these casual gamers, they only, if they do listen to podcasts or watch videos, it's something that they like. If they're going to watch it, it's because they like that particular game. And if you're already hating on a game, and if you have already indicated that you haven't played the game, that turns off that portion of that audience. Yeah, you're going to have your fan base that's been there from day one listen to you, but if you want your podcast to be bigger, you have to include other types of viewers from other different communities. And I think that's one of the reasons why BG made this decision. All right. Now, people are saying like it's personal. If you want to include that, I guess you can include that, but how much of a percentage is that really? Because if that's a large percentage, then why did he make it to 400 episodes? BG had always had the opportunity of getting rid of Blackbond. He has already indicated, he doesn't like Blackbond. He doesn't like a lot of views Blackbond indicated. He have said that from the beginning of the podcast. If that's something that he's, saying that he wants to dispute him being fired because the employer did not like him, he's going to, I'm pretty sure he's going to have a representative and say, look, I said that from episode 1. You made it through 400 plus episodes. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. I don't know if he's legally, like I said, I don't know what he's doing, what he's not doing. All this is allegedly. All this is alleged. Okay. You can't really take what one side is saying and the other side is not saying, what social media is saying and what he's not saying. So all this is allegedly, okay? So this is allegedly. I don't know if it's true or not about Blackbond pursuing this as a legal matter. I don't know how, and even if he is pursuing it allegedly, how he's going to win from that. I don't know how he's going to win from that. Maybe he gets a settlement. If that's the cherry on top for him, fine. But for his case, I don't see. To me, I think he should move on. But he does what he want to do. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about. I'm pretty sure people in the comment section is going to disagree, and most of you guys that's going to agree, you're not even going to listen to the whole video. You're only going to listen to like a portion of it, and then you're going to base your opinion. I can just tell, when people make comments, you can tell that they didn't listen to the whole entire video. I might break this down in certain chapters where you can pick the chapter, because I covered it. I'm not one-sided with it. I don't have a horse in the race. I don't, at the end of the day, what they eat don't make me shit. What Blackbond and BG does is not going to affect or change anything what I do. This is all opinion based. This is from stuff that he has said, what Blackbond has said himself on his live streams and on the podcast in general. This is what BG has said in his content as well. And I'm just sharing this information. To me, and I told you what's best. At the end of the day, Blackbond can do whatever he want to do. If he wants to pursue this as a legal matter, he can exercise that right. If he wants to just move on, look, in content creating, I have seen this story. I have seen this story so many times, and I've seen people be removed from certain podcasts or certain platforms. If they got a fan base, that shouldn't stop them as far as creating content and as far as them with longevity. And this also proves a point. And I think he's starting to slowly realize that he doesn't have as big as a fan base as what he thought he had. Yeah, that first video of the announcement, oh man, he was getting super chat money and he was getting crazy views. But when you start creating, okay, there's going to be a point where people are going to grow tired of you always talking about Weapon Wheel and BG. You're going to have to move on and move away from it. And that's going to determine whether or not, how big is your fan base is, and can you do this on your own? And I don't think we're at the point where he can't do it on his own. I do feel like Blackbond has a huge future, an untapped future he doesn't realize yet that he should exercise on. But yeah, that's, that's all I gotta say. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I will try to chop this video down in different chapters so you can pick which ones. But, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Blackbond fan that listens a portion to the video and disagree with everything I say. And there's going to be a BG hater that just hates BG, and they're going to disagree with whatever I say. But, and I got one more question before I end this. If Kid Smooth, Jack Move Johnny came to BG and said, hey, we got to let Bond go, would y'all have the same opinion about, will y'all still do this, go through these same steps and these same processes? Because I think a lot of this is fueled by a lot of people that don't like BG. A lot of people think that BG is a piece of shit. To me, I really don't care. I don't invest in content creators like that. I listen to the content. I either agree or disagree, and I move on. I don't have an emotional investment in Blackbond, BG, any of these guys. Joe Budden, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Cam Newton. I don't really have a huge emotional ties with these content creators. Okay, I listen to it. I either agree, disagree. I may go as far as maybe commenting on these I may go as far as commenting in the content in the section, but after I'm done commenting, I just move on to the next video. I done already forgot about what I disagreed or what I agreed about it, and I just move on. I might thumbs it up. I don't really thumbs down people's videos. And I just move on. Life goes on. Okay? Believe it or not, it will go. The weapon wheel will continue without Blackbond. I've seen this story. You guys said the weapon wheel was over with when Hard 8 left. All right? And it didn't happen. All right? And I like Hard 8's channel. I love Any Given Sunday. Hard 8 did the right thing. Hard 8, even though Hard 8 talked about it in his displeasure, he displeased with BG and calling BG a piece of shit, yada, yada, yada. Hard 8 is talented enough where he can create his own podcast, do his own wave, do his own thing, and he won't miss a beat. Blackbond, you're going to have to reach that conclusion. Can you do this on your own? I can already tell scheduling is going to be an issue with you, because you got this mindset of, well, I don't want to live stream when AGS is on and when Weapon Wheel is on. If Sunday is really the only time you can dedicate to do your podcast on, if you can't do it on any other day, you can consistently only do it on Sunday, I don't see why not. You can do it super early or super late. You don't necessarily have to do it on the time when AGS or the Weapon Wheel podcast is on. Or if that's the only time you can do it, then do the podcast. But I feel like you're going to find out real fast and real quick how many people really fuck with you. I don't think a lot of people really fuck with you. If you air your podcast while AGS and the Weapon Wheel is on, you're going to find out real fast and real quick how, if people really, really fuck with you, or people are coming to your side and coming to your aid because they don't like BG. Those same people that don't like BG, they still continue to watch BG, which makes no sense to me. You hate someone so much, you invested so much emotional energy in this person that you still continue to watch that person. Okay, beats the hell out of me, but hey, if I had that much of an emotional investment in somebody, I would have already made the decision years ago. But hey, that's neither here nor there. You guys tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.